I've always wanted to help people because I think I'm just a very compassionate person. I also love animals. You know, I'm the kind of person that'll pick a worm up off the sidewalk and put him into the grass. So I don't know, I've just sort of always had that instinct. But specifically with kids, the work that I had with them, it was just sort of eye-opening. Like, it was so much fun, and I loved the silly things they would say and the way that you could access their emotions and feel like you were really helping them to have this better life, you know? And of course I feel like that with adults as well, but it was just very inspiring with kids. And then once I had my own, the deal was done. I was like, this is the best thing. They're just so fun to work with. I have always wanted to be in the field of counseling. I've loved it since I can remember. It's just always fascinated me. But my path has been a little bit varied because right after I got my master's in clinical and counseling psych, I ended up getting married. My husband was in the military. So I had to sort of find work wherever we were stationed. And I ended up working in a women's prison as a substance abuse counselor, which was very challenging. I learned pretty quickly that I didn't want to do that, but it was still a great experience. And I also worked in a family center, working with kids all the way up through adults. And that was a great experience, but it really taught me that I loved working with kids. So eventually I came back. My husband got out of the military and we had a family of our own. I took some years off to raise my boys, and when I was ready to go back to work, I knew I wanted to work in the schools. So I worked with a nonprofit agency to go into a lot of the schools in Newark and work with at-risk kids. So I, as a counselor, would go into the schools, and I loved it, but I realized I really want to be in the school. So I went back and got my postmaster certification in school counseling, and then I started working in the schools, and now I'm here and I'm thrilled. So working here at Oak Knoll, there's 3 primary roles that I'll be playing. One is I'll be going into the classrooms to teach social and emotional lessons. So we're hoping that's going to happen about twice a month for each class. But again, I'm going to work with the teachers and defer to them and their schedules and needs. Also, if the teacher ever feels like, you know, hey, this class is particularly working with this issue, could you address that? I can come in more if needed. Like, the flexibility with OKS is amazing. So that's one role. The second role is I'll work individually with students as they need, you know, if things come up in their life, they're struggling with a particular issue, I'm happy to meet with them individually for a set amount of time. And then thirdly, I run small groups. Now that won't happen this year because of COVID and the fact that we're trying to keep the classes in their cohorts. But down the road, that will happen. And it might happen virtually. If we end up being remote, you know, I could make that work. But that's an important part, because if there are children who are sharing similar issues and have similar needs, it's very powerful to have a connection with other peers and say, hey, I'm not alone in this. And I think that's actually the most effective way to get some help, and a big role of a school counselor. I'm also always available for consultations with teachers and parents, anybody, you know. I consider myself a resource for anybody who needs it. I guess it's just feeling like you can plant a seed and really watch it grow with a kid. You know, when I work with children, just the idea that something I say or something I offer to them might impact them for years to come and create this sort of ongoing ripple effect of positivity, where then they're able to, you know, replicate positive, healthy relationships and be kind to others and spread all these wonderful traits of kindness and courage and bravery and compassion. To me, that's what's most rewarding, is sort of considering myself a farmer, I guess, planting seeds. So I think any counselor will tell you that one of the biggest challenges of working with kids is trying to get the family on board, because you can do a lot of work with the child individually, and then if the parents aren't on board, that work doesn't get continued or reinforced at home. So that's one of the reasons why I'm so excited to be here, because I feel like the community is really engaged. The parents are excited, they are supportive, they want their kids to have the best opportunities. So I feel like there's going to be a lot of room for us to work as a team, and the kids will benefit. One of the reasons I'm so excited to be at Oak Knoll is that I've just heard such amazing things about the faculty and the community here, that everybody's so engaged, that they're in it because they want to be, and that they're, full heart invested. So I'm just thrilled to be a part of that and know that I'm going to be able to collaborate with the teachers, that the messages that we're trying to instill in the kids are being reinforced in the classroom, and that there's just like an open dialogue where the teachers can tell me what they need, I can be there to support them. I've told them before, I feel like the teachers are the frontline workers, and I just want to do what I can to help them. I think their job is incredibly difficult, and they do it with such grace. So I just want to be there to help them, help the kids, and reinforce all those social emotional lessons in the classroom. Having a consistent figure on campus every day of the week is huge, because life happens. You can't schedule when a child is going to need something or have a bad day, and to have the same figure, the same face, who's been, hopefully I've been able to establish rapport with these kids. They feel like they can trust me. That makes all the difference. I mean, working with kids, it's about the relationship, and with any relationship, it requires the amount of energy you put in and consistency. And so just being there, knowing where my office is, knowing that they can come to me anytime, I think will make a really positive impact on the student community, especially now in this time of COVID, where there's such uncertainty and everybody's levels of anxiety are heightened. Just knowing, even sometimes just knowing that someone's there can help ease that level, even if you don't have to talk to them. So I think it's an important role to have on campus. The main part of my life right now are my boys. I have a 6th grader and an 8th grader here in Summit, and I love them. They're so fun. Next week we're actually going on a hike in the Adirondacks, and we're doing like a full 50-mile loop, so it'll wish me luck. But I think we're gonna have a good time with that. So spending time with my family, going to their sporting events, that's number one, definitely. I love to exercise. My husband and I like to run and hike and swim and all kinds of things. We enter a fair amount of races, but we're not fast. We just like to try to finish them. So yeah, those are probably the things I enjoy most. And my pets, I love my animals. Well, they might be surprised just by like my varied background, like because I have done so many different things. For instance, one summer I had a job when I was in college working up in the Appalachian Trail. On Mount Washington, there's a bunch, well, throughout the White Mountains in New Hampshire, there's a bunch of huts that people will climb up and stay over, and there's crews that live in those huts all summer, and I was one of those crew members. So on Lakes of the Clouds, you had to cook for 100 people every night, and then when you weren't cooking and preparing and taking care of the hut, you were always called for rescue missions if people were hiking and got lost or got hypothermia or anything like that. So I did that one summer. So when my husband joined the military, first we lived in Fort Benning, Georgia, and then his first assignment after he finished all his training was to Schofield Barracks in Oahu, Hawaii. So we lived there for 3 years, and we lived off post on the North Shore, right on the beach, and it's the place where it's called the Pipeline. So there's Waimea Bay and all the big time surfers. It was wonderful, such a beautiful place and such a fun time in our life, yeah.